and ends with a little creativity, like turning your unused food into something new. Get tips to reduce food waste and make your dollar go further. Know the cost. Use food well. Visit the website to learn how.
Losing the fear of looking foolish comes with age.
Who did you steal him from?
Losing your way in your own home doesn't. Confusion with time and place may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Mom, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine.
Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's.
Store your gun securely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo.
Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the Pierce County Council. Today is April 1st, 2025. The time is 3:01. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Councilmember Yonde.
Here.
Councilmember Kruger.
Here.
Councilmember Denson.
Excused, but we are expecting her online.
Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
Councilmember Morrell.
Here.
Councilmember Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Here.
You have 6 members present.
With 6 members present, we do have a quorum. Section 3 today is our Pledge of Allegiance and our land acknowledgement. Today, our moment of silence that we will hold is in honor of 2 distinguished Washington state leaders, Ralph Monroe, who served 5 terms as the Secretary of State, and Frank Chopp, who served as the Washington State Speaker of the House of Representatives for over 20 years. In addition, we will also add that our hearts and thoughts are with the families of those lost and still missing in the Myanmar earthquake that has killed over 2,700 people. It was a 7.7 magnitude earthquake that happened last Friday. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag led by Councilmember Yonde, followed by a moment of silence dedicated to those who have lost their life. And then we will follow that with the land acknowledgement. Please rise.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Coast Salish tribes. Coast Salish people have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step toward true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the Indigenous people of this land.
Thank you. We are now at section 4, which is approval of our agenda. I'm going to ask that we move in section 8, resolution 2025-123 to the beginning of the list of agenda items under section 8. So resolution 2025-123. Are there any objections to that change? Seeing none, we'll consider today's agenda approved. On today's council agenda, there will be multiple opportunities for public comment. On the consent agenda, you may provide comment on any final action item that does not include items placed on the consent agenda for introduction or rescheduling. On today's consent agenda, there is 1 set of minutes for approval and 1 appointment resolution for final hearing. During sections 8 and 9 of the agenda, we will take public comment on each ordinance or resolution individually. And finally, under community forum, there'll be an opportunity to address the council on any topic that is not up for final action on today's agenda. For information on the rules for public participation, please review the bottom of page 1 of today's agenda. We are now at section 5, which is our consent agenda. Does any member have a desire to pull an item from the consent agenda? Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda, or in moving items C to A to section 8. Is that right?
That is correct. Is there a second? Second. Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda, removing C2A and moving it to section 8. Any other items? It'd be the minutes. Okay. We are going to do a public hearing on this. If there are any members of the public that would like to speak on the consent agenda as amended, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, we will go online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comments on any final action items, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And I see no hands, Madam Chair.
Seeing no hands raised, we will close public comment on the consent agenda and ask the clerk to please call the roll on approving the consent agenda as amended.
Councilmember Morrell,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger,
Aye.
Councilmember Ayala,
Aye.
Councilmember Yambe,
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 6 ayes and 0 nays.
With 6 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is adopted. That brings us to section 6, which is messages from the executive transmitting the following ordinance, which was approved and signed on March 24, 2025, Ordinance O 2025-503S, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council granting the South Fork Estates Homeowners Association a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a sanitary sewer pipeline system in, along, and under certain public roads, highways, and other county properties. That brings us to section 7, which is proclamations, recognitions, awards, and presentations. Today, the council and executive designate April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Pierce County. I'd like to invite Carlin Sampson, Executive Director of Rebuilding Hope Sexual Assault Center, to the podium as I read the proclamation into the record. And if anyone else wants to come along with you to the podium, they are welcome to as well. A proclamation of the Pierce County Council and Executive designating April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas the first attempts to break the silence on rape was mobilized by Black women who testified before Congress following a gang rape by a white mob during the Memphis riots in May of 1866. During the origins of the United States, it was commonplace and legal for enslaved Black women to be raped by white men, and following the abolition of slavery, white men would use rape as a tactic for violence and control over women. And whereas as the civil rights movement of the 1940s and 1950s gained traction for demanding social change and equality, efforts to raise awareness on the intersection of race, gender inequality, and gender-based violence were championed by Black women and women of color like Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Reese Taylor. And whereas wider open discussions about sexual assault and domestic violence gained traction in the 1970s, during this decade, the first rape crisis center in the nation was established in San Francisco in 1971. And the first rape crisis center in Washington state was established in 1972 with the Seattle Rape Relief. And whereas Pierce County Rape Relief, later known as the Pierce County Sexual Assault Crisis Center, the Pierce County Sexual Assault Center, Rebuilding Hope, and Sexual Assault Center of Pierce County is now Rebuilding Hope Sexual Assault Center. It was incorporated in 1975 and is rumored to be the longest continuously operating community sexual assault center in Washington state. And whereas during the late 1970s in Washington state, Rape Awareness Week was originally established by the Washington Coalition of Sexual Assault Programs, and the state legislature passed the Victims of Sexual Assault Act, which included provisions to distribute state and federal funding for crime victims services and prevention education through the Department of Health and Social Services and the Office of Crime Victims Advocacy. And whereas by 2001, Washington State's Rape Awareness Week and other national practices of Sexual Assault Awareness Week expanded to Sexual Assault Awareness Month, which was officially declared to be recognized in April by President Obama in 2009. And whereas, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, nationally, almost half of all women and almost 1 in every 3 men experience sexual violence involving physical contact in their lifetime. At least 1 in 4 girls and as many as 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before turning 18 years old, and at least half of our 2 SLGBTQ+ community are sexually assaulted in their lifetime. And whereas, while great strides have been accomplished in raising awareness about sexual assault, including the establishment of the state and federal funding and improving public policies responding to sexual assault and abuse nationally in Washington state and in Pierce County, communities continue to struggle with the myths and harms perpetuated by systemic sexism, racism, and oppression resulting in sexual assault and abuse. And whereas continued and increased prioritization and investment in raising visibility to sexual assault and abuse awareness, prevention, and survivor response and support is critical to dismantling the myths, beliefs, behaviors, and systems that promote sexual violence. And whereas, after celebrating 50 years of dedicated service as Pierce County designated sexual assault center, Rebuilding Hope Sexual Assault Center remains committed to the mission to provide support, promote healing, and partner to end sexual violence. Rebuilding Hope provides confidential, comprehensive, and lifelong support to sexual assault and abuse survivors and their loved ones, regardless of when it happened, the survivor's relationship to the offender, and regardless of the violence was ever reported. Through collaboration, education, and prevention, Rebuilding Hope works to eradicate the beliefs and behaviors that promote sexual violence. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this first day of April 2025 by the Pierce County Council and Executive that the month of April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Pierce County, Washington, and the Council encourages community members to seek information, education, and support for related sexual assault and abuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hitchin, and to each council member who supported this important proclamation today. Establishing a month in honor of sexual assault awareness is in of itself an indicator that our community and world is not what it ought to be. Not yet. In my tenure at Rebuilding Hope, I've personally delivered thousands of hours of crisis support, advocacy, and case management to hundreds of child, youth, and adult survivors of just about every conceivable form of sexual violence that has been defined to include, but not limited to, verbal sexual harassment, unwanted sexual contact, attempted and completed rape, child sexual abuse, military sexual trauma, college and campus sexual assault, and commercial sexual exploitation. With the statistics that you read in that proclamation, almost half of all women, almost a third of all men, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys, and at least half of our LGBTQ plus community experiencing this abhorrent violence in their lifetime, there's just no way that sexual assault and its devastating effects on survivors and their loved ones are not rippling through our community every day, across schools, colleges, universities and workplaces, in homes and families, in our military, on our streets, in our neighborhoods, and across our social and media platforms. They are the local youth calling our helpline anonymously to ask questions that they're nervous or afraid to ask adults. They're the panicking parents or guardians or caregivers calling in a whisper after their kids have gone to bed, trying to figure out what to do to protect them. They're the survivor who was just assaulted, reaching out with courage, not knowing where to go or what to do. It's an 80-year-old reaching out to share for the first time what happened to them when they were a child. It's the spouse of a survivor reaching out in crisis because they don't know how to support the person that they love. For 50 years, Rebuilding Hope has faithfully answered the calls from survivors and the community across Pierce County to listen, to learn, to inform, to catalyze change, and so very often, just to believe. To sit with a survivor, to bear witness to their experience and their journey, to assure them that they are believed, they are supported, that this burden never should have been and is not theirs to bear, not alone. Today, Rebuilding Hope is grateful to not answer those calls alone, but also in deep community and collaboration with incredible providers like Oasis Youth Center, the Crystal Jetson Family Justice Center, our Sisters House, and the Mary Bridge Child Advocacy and Child Abuse Intervention Department, plus many more. We are also proud to serve a community like Pierce County that prioritizes investments in youth violence prevention services, in addition to convening the Pierce County Commission Against Domestic Violence. Rebuilding Hope's vision is to build communities that do not tolerate oppressive social norms, behaviors, or systems that promote sexual violence or exploitation. Communities where those who have been harmed are believed and supported in pursuit of their individual paths of healing. Communities where sexual violence does not exist and their people are educated and empowered to center full choice, consent, and safety. I'm here today to accept this proclamation and to remain hopeful that each of us stands together in support of that vision and with a commitment to take action. Act by learning and sharing the history of the sexual assault awareness movement. Connect with Rebuilding Hope and the many partners mentioned today to learn about what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're responding to, and what we're working to get upstream to prevent or to disrupt. Learn about events and activities Rebuilding Hope is hosting and supporting. Learn and share how to reach out for support and how to connect a survivor with services. Together we can do a better job of creating a safe, protective, and supportive community that Pierce County deserves. Thank you so much for your time today and for this proclamation.
Thank you for your words and to your advocates and the work you do every day. It's incredibly important. I'm going to look to see if any of my colleagues have any comments before we take a photo. Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you so much for being here and sharing a lot of what you just did. I wanted to speak on on kind of my support for this, not just in honoring and respecting the stories and really acknowledging the people having gone through this, but also the responsibility that we each bear to ensure that we're intervening whenever we see minor instances of disrespect or anything that may cause or lead to something much greater and much more tragic. Those intervention points can happen at any point in our life, whether it is with young children who are learning behaviors to grown adults who might be a little more set in their behaviors. We each have that responsibility and incrementally can change the outcome of this in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for those comments. And pausing, but I'm going to, Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. And think 1975, that's a long time, 50 years. I can't believe it was 50 years ago. But a lot has changed since 1975. I can only imagine how we used to do things or how we got out there is something we didn't really talk about this, and we talk about it now. And also, I can only imagine there is some education out there that this type of thing is not culturally accepted through anybody's culture. And it shouldn't be accepted or any of those things like that. You know, my experience, again, I can only do that, and I don't feel qualified to talk about this, but I have, you know, was at scenes where people where things have happened. As a police officer, we go to those scenes. We see the immediate aftermath. We also see the long time aftermath of not just that person, but also how it affects families. And going back to the cultural part of things, those type of things in some cultures is a very shameful thing where they may not seek help or talk about it or anything like that. And that's one way to look at it. This type of thing is definitely not limited to one culture or one set of people or anything like that. It affects everybody equally, no matter if you're from anywhere in the county, or anywhere in the country. So, but we appreciate the work that you do, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you coming forward, your organization, for what it does and how you service those victims within in the community, because a lot of times it is a shameful event that happens, and you know, how could that happen to me, especially within a relationship. I know is obviously a male here. I have the responsibility of, you know, educating myself, and also to make sure that my peers understand that there is no tolerance for sexual abuse and assault. And that's the way I live my life, and hopefully, you know, it will resonate beyond. And I think as a society, as we move forward with greater understanding, that these situations will happen less and less, but we don't know. So your services are appreciated, and I'm glad that people have the ability to you know, pick up that phone, make that contact with your organization. And you know, I concur with Councilmember Herrera's comment about cultural aspect of it, because you know, that is integrated into this, what is accepted, what is not accepted. And like I say, I'm saying not accepted, period. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gruver.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, ladies, for having the courage to stand up and help those who are coming to your services. It's not easy to have to face the agony of what you see, and you know what's been done, and you see the results. it must be very difficult to sleep at night quite often. And, referring to culture, I think there are cultures in the world where these things are acceptable and they shouldn't be. And it just makes me grateful to be in America where we have a code of morals and a social contract that is built on a foundation of truth and justice and equity and value and morals and built on that system. And that you are there to uphold that and strengthen and encourage those who come to you and try to have the word out that there is also, because you're also having to tackle grooming that isn't a violent situation, but it can become violent. And being able to help people recognize when they are being groomed for a future purpose, which is evil. So thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for those comments. Carlin, please extend our gratitude to the advocates and the volunteers and the supporters of your organization. You are the only one-stop shop for sexual assault in the county that covers all the different types of sexual assault and human trafficking in the county. So when we're talking, and this is both work and sexual human trafficking, and I just continue to really think that as you move into your new location and we work more around how do we navigate, coalesce, and bring community members together, that we maybe will get to a point where we've put you out of business. I would love a county where we didn't need one, and not because we weren't responding, but because we didn't have anyone to respond to. So thank you for the work you do every day and for the partners that you bring to the table. And we're going to invite you to come up and take a photo.
Okay.
And I'm going to invite the executive, since he's here in person. Put you under the seal. Oh my. Thanks for your work. And then I have extras that you can take back.
It's a little lopsided.
Am I lopsided? No, it's. Ryan, can you flip with Rosie so we can do council executive? Thank you.
All right, stand by.
Okay, we are gonna come to the item that I rearranged, which is resolution R 2025-123. I'm not forgetting the one we pulled off the consent agenda, but we're gonna do this one first. Can I get the clerk to please read it in the record?
Proposal number R 2025-123, a resolution of the Pierce County Council confirming Robin Vasquez as Director of the Human Resources Department.
Thank you. And we're going to invite the executive and Ms. Vasquez to the executive first, and then Ms. Vasquez to the podium.
Well, thank you so much. Good afternoon, Chair Hitchin and members of the council. My name is Ryan Mello, and I have the great honor of serving as the Pierce County Executive. It's great to be in front of you today. I'm quite excited to be here to present to you my first department director for confirmation by the County Council. It is not a coincidence that the first director level position my team did a recruitment for is for our Human Resources Director. That position is absolutely vital to the work of each and every department throughout Pierce County, right? To ensure that we recruit and retain the right talent to deliver on the important work of county government each and every day. Director Vasquez has a very important job. So I am thrilled to present Robin Vasquez to you for confirmation. We had 50 qualified applicants for this position. My team led a robust, multi-step review and interview process that included internal staff members, the many different customers of the Human Resources Department, external partners, and others. Robin Vasquez is eminently qualified. Robin understands very well our operating environment here in Pierce County, having been a labor advocate for the Washington Federation of State Employees. From the end of 2008 through 2015, she bargained contracts, she investigated workplace issues and grievances, and she, more importantly, has years of experience of establishing respectful relationships with labor and management. Robin then led labor negotiations at the State Office of Financial Management and was promoted to ever-increasing roles of responsibility in the State Office of Financial Management to lead the agency and the governor priorities on supporting workforce through lots of different change. And I'm confident that Robin's going to be able to support us in moving through lots of change. Since 2021, Robin has led the employee resources for the Washington State Healthcare Authority. This is an agency of about 1,900 employees. I'm confident in Robin's experience, and I'm really confident in putting her before you for confirmation today for a number of reasons in getting to know Robin. When something is not right, she has a demonstrated experience in finding a solution, including changing state law, like she did in 2020 to amend the Public Records Act when it became clear that it was in the state's interest to exempt individually identifiable state employee demographic information from disclosure to protect the confidentiality of state employees. She has many examples that she could share with you in her professional career of when she has seen something that can be improved or something that needs fixing that benefits the residents that she is serving. She maps out a path to get there and doesn't stop until she gets it done. Robin understands the importance of supporting managers on performance management. She has a long career in developing work plans and work goals with team members and using performance evaluations as a method to praise great work of public employees and to support employees in their professional development. Robin has tremendous experience in negotiating contracts, in communicating complex information, as well as training staff on developing and communicating policies, practices, and tactics. She's adept at supporting organizations in managing a hybrid work environment and a hybrid workforce. We'll be relying on Robin to improve our relationships with our labor partners, ensuring we have a qualified workforce to do the important work that we are creating, and that we are creating a work culture that sets high expectations of our employees, ensures employees are well trained and supported, and that we have a workplace culture that is respectful, a workplace culture that is inclusive, and a workplace culture that welcomes everyone who works here, and that we continue to develop a workforce that is as diverse as the community that we serve. So, Madam Chair, I'm pleased to present to you Ms. Robin Vasquez for confirmation to the role of Director of Human Resources. She's now prepared to more fully introduce herself to you and take any further questions you might have. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much for the introduction and the work you did. Ms. Vasquez.
Well, hello, Madam Chair and members of the Council. It's an honor to be here with you today. That was an awfully kind introduction, and Executive Mello covered a great deal of my background, but I wanted to just say that I've been in labor relations and human resources policy for over 15 years now in positions of successive responsibility. I've had the opportunity to work both on the labor side when I worked for the Federation of State Employees and then on the management side, as Executive Mello mentioned. I've had an opportunity to be on the forefront of some interesting policy development because I was at the Office of State Human Resources as a section lead when the COVID pandemic happened, which was when many organizations, Pierce County included, and of course the state of Washington, had to figure out a way to shift quickly to a remote environment. which was not something that we had anticipated, right? We've been easing our way toward embracing a telework environment. I think the target was something like 7% of the state workforce being remote before the pandemic happened, and then we shifted to about 50 or 60% remote. So I've had the opportunity to be in some emergent situations where we had to craft policy very quickly. Now, fortunately, I don't think we're facing the same level of emergency as the COVID pandemic when I was with the state here in Pierce County, but I know that there's some interest in making improvements and improving policy in a way that supports the workforce of the county, and I look forward to being able to serve in that way.
Thank you very much for the introduction again, and we did have a chance to speak with you during rules, but this is the time I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any specific questions, and we'll start with Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And welcome, and we're excited to have you here. Just a question that I always find interesting is if maybe you could share a bit about your hobbies.
Oh, yeah. Well, in my spare time, which seems hard to find sometimes, I like to play roller derby. I've been playing roller derby for about 15 years now. Actually, I used to play in King County, and when I moved down to Thurston County, I joined a team down there. I shoot arrows. I attend an archery range sometimes on the weekend with friends, and that's very satisfying in a way. I like to write. I participated in the National Novel Writers Month in November of last year, which you try to write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. So you can't critique yourself too much because you just got to keep going. So I really enjoy that. I play Dungeons and Dragons sometimes with friends, not as often as I did during the pandemic. That was a way to stay connected to social groups during the pandemic where we could get online and play together remotely and still have a good time. These days I'm playing Dragon Age, which is a video game. Any video game fans out there maybe? Yeah, I got one person in the room. But yeah, I try to stay busy. And then I've got my two kids. My daughter is 11 and my son is 8, and they keep me busy too. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other questions? I feel like I need to ask you a question just because, so let me think. I mean, she's here right in front of us. The question I asked at rules, actually, I'm going to take some time to think because Councilmember Morrell has a question. Thank you for saving me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There again, I appreciate the executive bringing forward, the best pick, the cream of the crop. And hopefully the crystal ball does indicate that. Obviously, your work down at the state in labor negotiations, being on the other side now of, we had obviously fiscal parameters that we work in. We don't have the benefit of raising taxes to meet payroll and other things. We're bracketed in. So what's your approach to labor negotiations, viewing it from that lens?
I think having a clear picture of the fiscal environment that we're working within is always really important. When I worked for the Office of Financial Management, we actually had a pretty structured process for requesting approval through a series of leadership level and budget level considerations before we ever made any sort of financial offer across the table. Because the state also has some budget constraints. You're right, there may be differences between Pierce County and the state, but we always have to be very thoughtful because whatever we do at the table, with one union often has a ripple effect to the other contracts. And so you have to consider if you're going to put an offer on the table in one space, is that going to end up landing in those other places? And can you afford it if it goes across to all 20 of your labor agreements instead of just 1 or 2? So good communication, I think, with the labor team will be really important, and staying connected to the folks in finance so that I understand, this is what we may have to work with. But I think there's also an opportunity to be creative and to listen at the table, because what works for one group of employees might not be the same good solution for another group. And so there are different ways of addressing some of the issues that the bargaining unit is bringing to us while still staying within our sort of economic boundaries.
Yeah, and I appreciate that response and that reflecting on that moving forward, because as you know, our employees are what make Pierce County so great. So though we're limited fiscally, there are some other policies that you could probably bring forward that helped communication, collaboration, other things. So I'll look forward to that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the question. Councilmember Yambe.
I feel like I should address you with a council member title, because that's also one of the many pros and things that I find in you. I think the local government experience got my attention. And I do, and the resume bowled me over, and I think the sensitivity on labor and labor relations really got it. And if all the executives candidates are as sharp and impressive as you are, I think we're in good shape. So I appreciate you forwarding your name, and the D&D bit doesn't hurt. So, but I'm glad that you're here, and I look forward to working and seeing the great progress that you'll help move our county. And so we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think a question that I have, we have a variety of ways we communicate with county employees, and I'm just curious, as you've kind of been on the job, I think when you were here 6 days, so now we're at 9, 10 days, something like that. There was a weekend in there. Do you have any ideas about things you might change or add to supplement, like how we communicate holistically with the whole county employee workforce?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that occurred to me, I think that my previous employer had a good way of getting structured communication out to supervisors and managers. And I think that's an opportunity for me as I get started, because Pierce County is big, right? 3,800 employees. And I don't know that previously there was a practice of the Human Resources Department communicating directly and consistently with supervisors and managers on topics of interest for them. And so if I'm to be a supportive resource for supervisors and managers as they're working with their staff on things like goals, right, and performance excellence, I want them to be able to hear from me and also feel like they can reach out directly to me and my team and ask questions about how to do it right. So that's something I'd like to explore, is developing some kind of consistent voice for the HR department to reach out to supervisors and managers and give them support, communicate changes to policy, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, so I did this out of order. I had the clerk read before we had a motion, so we're going to start over. And I'm going to actually ask, we now have proposal R 2025-123 before us. Councilmember Yambe, would you be willing to make a motion?
I make a motion to pass proposal number R 2025-123, a resolution of Pierce County Council confirming Robin Vasquez as Director of Human Resources Department.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2025-123. We've had our introductions, we've had our interview. We are going to open this up for a public hearing. So are there any members of the public that would like to address the council on the motion before us, which is not seeing anyone in chambers rush the podium. So we will go online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comments on proposal number R 2025-123, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And Madam Chair, I see no hands.
With no hands raised, we'll close public comment and bring it back before the council. Are there any further comments before we? Okay, well, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll on adoption of R 2025-123.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Yambe.
Aye.
Councilmember Ayala.
Aye.
Councilmember Kruger.
Aye.
Councilmember Morell.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
The results of the roll call vote is 6 ayes and 0 nays.
With 6 ayes and 0 nays, the motion is adopted. Congratulations, Ms. Vesco. Thank you. You want to take a photo? We can do that. Is that with all of us you'd like a photo? We're doing hand motions across the chambers here. So, okay, it appears we're going to take a photo. So we'll just do this like proclamations. Okay, everybody. Okay. So we're going to go back to our consent agenda where we pulled resolution 2025-128 off. So I'm going to look to Vice Chair Herrera for a motion.
Where's that? What number is it? Okay, I move proposal number R2025-128 for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2025-128. Can the clerk please read?
Proposal number R 2025-128, a resolution of the Pierce County Council confirming the appointment of 2 new members, Tom Yabe and Kim Zacher, to the Pierce County Behavioral Health Advisory Board.
Thank you. And before us today, we actually have Chief Yabe. He's the Chief of Police for the town of Steilacoom. If you'd like to come to the podium, we'd love to have you introduce yourself and say quickly why you signed up for this. And the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Tom Yabe. I'm the Chief of Police for the town of Steilacoom. Been a police officer for 19 years, all 19 of those in the town of Steilacoom. Town of Steilacoom has benefited over the years very greatly from an ongoing partnership with Pierce County, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to give back however I can toward that partnership. As I know you're all well aware, behavioral health is a crisis that's impacting all of our communities, and our law enforcement and our first responders are going to be critical, continue to be critical components to working toward a solution there. I just thank very much the council as well as the executive, the Office of the Executive, for recognizing the role that first responders play toward that solution and for allowing first responders to be part of that conversation.
Well, thank you very much for adding one more thing to your list. I appreciate it. I know how busy Steilacoom keeps you. Are there any comments from my colleagues or questions for our appointee? Okay. Oh, Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. Good. Thanks for stepping up. I know you have a great, from your perspective when it comes to behavioral health on the police side, and then I think, in the past there's still, you guys did both fire, you did both police and emergency calls out there. I don't know if they do that anymore, but you saw both those perspectives, and I think I can only imagine that you have a great perspective of what is needed. So we appreciate you stepping up. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. So truly thank you for your willingness to serve. We are going to hold a public hearing on this, and I'd like to invite members of the public who would like to provide comment on R 2025-128. Please state your name if you'd like it on the record. You have up to 3 minutes. There's no one of the public in chambers that would like to speak, so just checking. We will go online to see if anyone would like to speak on this resolution.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comments on proposal number R 2025-128, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And I see no hands at this time, Madam Chair.
Seeing no hands raised, we'll close public comment and bring it back before the council. Any further discussion? Well, Chief, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for stepping up. This is an incredibly important board that's doing really intentional and thoughtful work, and your voice will be valuable not only as a law enforcement agency of a small town, but also the work you do with the Police Chiefs Association. So you have a broader context. So I think it'll be really, we're kind of getting two for the price of one, because you'll be able to speak on behalf of small communities and the entire county, which I think is incredibly valuable. So thank you for stepping up. We are going to ask the clerk to please call a roll on approving R 2025-128.
Councilmember Ayala.
Aye.
Councilmember Yambe.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Morrell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye. Did I say aye for someone else?
Councilmember Krueger.
She had to leave. She's excused.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye. And then Councilmember Denson is raising her hand in the Zoom room, so now
I don't know if it's or not. I'm just trying to confirm.
I'm assuming it is, because we all have the cell phones that say COU and then some weird number. Yeah. You think it's an imposter? Well, if she... It's possible. I mean... Anyways, thank you very much. The motion is carried, and you are officially appointed. We will... It's April Fool's Day, and it's Tuesday. Hey! Okay. Okay, do not attend a meeting and drive at the same time. Just listening purposes. Councilmember Denson. Okay. Yes.
Sorry. Would the clerk announce the results of the vote?
Thank you. That sounds like a really good idea.
The results of the roll call vote is 5 ayes and 0 nays.
Okay, with 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion is adopted. Thank you, Ms. Long, for keeping us on track. Okay. We're going to go back to the original resolutions list. So we are at resolution 2025-114. Councilmember Denson, do you want us to have someone else? Let's go ahead. Okay. Councilmember Herrera, would you make a motion on this? Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Confirming it's 114. Chair, I move proposal number R 2025-114 for approval.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2025-114. Will the clerk please read?
Proposal number R 2025-114, a resolution of the Pierce County Council ratifying the sale of certain county-owned surplus real property located at 713 Southwest 353rd Place, Federal Way, Washington, commonly referred to as 713 Southwest 353rd Place, and consisting of land and improvements on King County tax parcel number 06623100610.
Mr. Boki to brief.
Thank you, Chair Hitchin, Paul Boki, Council staff. This property is a single-family home in Federal Way, Washington. It was seized by Pierce County Sheriff's Department in September 2019 under the authority of the Uniform Controlled Substances Act. This property was found to have been used to grow marijuana plants, and the title was acquired by the Pierce County Sheriff's Department pursuant to a judgment of forfeiture entered by the King County Superior Court on December 10th, 2020. The judgment was under appeal until October 21st of 2022. So in Pierce County, we have a two-step process to dispose of real estate. The first step is the council declaring the property as surplus and authorizing the county executive to pursue disposal of the property, and that's by ordinance, and that ordinance was passed by this body, and it's O-2024-502, which was passed by this council on February 27th, 2024. This resolution, the second portion of the sale, ratifies the sale of the property to Travis Edwards and Madison Moore for the sales price of $718,000. In 2024, the tax assessed value was $722,000. It's 2,510 square foot house on an 8,762 square foot lot, and that's per the King County Assessor's Office. You have in your packet Exhibit A, which is the legal description, and Exhibit B, the purchase and sale agreement. This was given a due pass recommendation at the March 17th, 2025 Rules and Operations Committee meeting. And Mr. Steve Wambach spoke at Rules, and he is also here today to answer your questions about this sale.
Thank you. Mr. Wambach, do you have anything to add, or do you just want to be at the ready if people have questions? Okay, that's what I'm hearing. So are there any questions on this proposal? And Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is for Mr. Wambach. This residence is located in King County. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I will identify myself for the record. I'm Steve Wambach. I'm the Deputy Director of the Facilities Management Department. And yes, this property is located inside the city of Federal Way in King County.
What gives Pierce County the authority to seize this home and sell it?
It is my understanding that, as council staff indicated, this was seized by the Pierce County Sheriff under the enforcement of the Uniform Controlled Substances Act. So my understanding is that our county sheriff was conducting an investigation into a drug crime, which led them to this property.
Okay. Final question: where do the final funds go? What account does it go to?
No, I don't have that piece of paper in front of me, so I'm going to go off the top of my head. I believe Mr. Boki has that information right in front of him, and I would be happy to have a friend help out. Thank you.
Smart man. Mr. Boki.
The proceeds, the net proceeds, which are estimated to be $647,000, will go to the Drug Investigation Fund, which is fund number 122. It's a special revenue fund, and that's where dollars on forfeitures go.
Okay. And once it goes into that fund, I assume that we have it audited, and so we understand what the funds are being used for?
Expenditures in that fund are prescribed by law. Yeah, they can only be used for certain activities, and for they can purchase things, but it's all prescribed by law. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the questions. Any further questions on this? Thank you, Mr. Wambach. So at this time, I'm going to open a public hearing. If any member of the public would like to address the council on proposal R 2025-114, please state your name if you'd like it on the record. You have up to 3 minutes and direct your comments to the chair. Is there anyone in chambers that would like to speak on this one? Not seeing anyone, we will go online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comments on proposal number R 2025-114, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And still no hands, Madam Chair.
Seeing no hands raised, we will close the public comment and open this up for final comments from my colleagues. Any further comments? Well, I want to thank the staff that have been working on this for over, I believe, a year. It's been a while, and to get it here and finally kind of get it dealt with, I think is good. I appreciate the funds will go into an account that will allow us to work on preventing having drug houses in the county. I think that sounds like a really good use of dollars seized in this case. So I think this is well-timed and definitely something to do. I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Morell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ayala.
Aye.
Councilmember Yambe.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
The results of the roll call vote is 6 ayes and 0 nays.
With 6 ayes and 0 nays, the motion is adopted. Thank you, everybody. That brings us to item number 2, which is proposal R 2025-120. Vice Chair Herrera for a motion.
Chair, I move proposal number R 2025-120 for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve R 2025-120. Ms. Long. Oh, can we have the clerk please read?
Proposal number R 2025-120, a resolution of the Pierce County Council authorizing the county executive to enter into a 1-year contract for publishing legal notices for Pierce County.
Thank you. Ms. Long to brief.
Thank you. So as stated in the title, this proposal will authorize the execution of a 1-year contract between Pierce County and the News Tribune for the publication of legal notices for Pierce County. As far as background goes, state law provides that at its first meeting in April, the council shall contract with a legal newspaper to serve as the official county newspaper for the term of 1 year beginning on July 1. It further provides that the contract shall be awarded to the best and lowest responsible bidder, giving consideration to the question of circulation in awarding the contract with a view to giving publication of notices the widest publicity. There is a provision in the county code at section 2-106-060 that allows for purchases where a special market condition exists to be directly negotiated. The News Tribune is the only qualified newspaper in the county which has sufficient circulation and will publish greater than once a week. So direct negotiations proceeded under this section of code for services as the official county newspaper. The proposed contract is for a 1-year period commencing July 1, 2025. The contract maximum is $135,000, and that actually is the exact same as last year. The News Tribune publishes digitally every day and in print on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it does guarantee a circulation of 20,010 daily and 20,684 Sundays. This proposal was heard in the Rules and Operations Committee on March 24th and received a do pass recommendation. And I will note that Russell Rigg from the Finance Department is here if you have any questions about this. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. I feel like we should ask Russell a question, but I will see if anyone here has questions on this item. Councilman Morell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just going back on, Ms. Long, just going back on your comments, why can't we do a multi-year agreement since they're the only player in town?
It's prescribed by statute. It's really prescriptive. It even says at what meeting you're supposed to do this, the first meeting in April, and it has to be a 1-year contract beginning in July. That's in statute. So until the statute changes.
And that's state statute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the questions. Any further questions? Mr. Rigg, anything you want to add since you're here? Okay, I just wanted to check. Okay. Well, seeing that, we are going to open up a public hearing on this. If anyone would like to address the council and provide comment on R 2025-120, there's no members of the public in chambers, so we'll go directly online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who should provide comments on proposal number R 2025-120, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And still no hands, Madam Chair.
With no hands raised, we'll close public comment and bring it back before the full council. Any further comments? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Yambe.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Morell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ayala.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
The results of the roll call vote is 6 ayes and 0 nays.
With 6 ayes and 0 nays, Resolution 2025-120 is adopted. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here with us. Okay. I'm going to check. Have we covered everything? We skipped around a little bit, but I feel like we did. Okay, so that brings us to ordinances, which there are none, which brings us to Section 10, which is community forum. Community forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council on any topic that is of significance or affecting Pierce County government and did not appear on the agenda today for final action. You have a 3-minute limit, and please state your name if you'd like it on the record and address all comments to the chair. I will start with those in chambers. Is there anyone in chambers that would like to address the comment during council during community forum? Seeing no one, we will go online. Mr. Weinsberry.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comment, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And Madam Chair, looks like we have one hand at this time. Dewey G, state your name for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
You there?
Now we can hear you, Dewey.
Hey, it took a while for it to get to unmute. I'm here to talk about DIY septic inspections and why they still ain't available in Pierce County. Other counties successfully implemented these programs without any issues. So why aren't we following suit? The Washington State Department of Health released a instructional video 11 years ago showing how homeowners can inspect their own septic tanks. Today, 9 other counties use this video to train their residents, and it was approved by the state in 2000. When I spoke to Jeremy Simmons from the Washington State Department of Health, he confirmed the video is accurate and supports it for use for DIY inspections. He stated that anyone with a gravity or pressurized system can follow the video and complete their inspections for free. This program is a win-win. It helps homeowners understand their septic tanks, preventing future problems, and allows them to stay compliant with the state regulations without financial strain. So why, after years of discussion, Pierce County still dragging its feet, pushing the timeline back to a possible 2026 implementation? The delay makes no sense when the program is simple, cost-free, and already working in other counties. A DIY inspection program would be especially benefit for valuable communities, seniors, veterans, individuals with disabilities, retirees on fixed income and low-income housing. Yet, instead of taking action, the Department of Health continues to offer excuses. They have led people to believe this would be at the end of 2024, but now it seems to be pushed back in again. When officials refused to take action, they erode public trust. In the process of this is as straightforward as watching a video, inspecting a tank, and seeing the results online. Why hasn't it been implemented yet? Taxpayers in Pierce County deserve the same opportunities as the other counties. When I spoke to Amy, she suggested reaching out to the counties with existing DIY programs, septic programs, and ask them to provide letters explaining their success. While I can certainly do that, it seems like this is responsible that should fall under our county council members. They should be leading the charge to bring this program to Pierce County and ensure it's available to residents as soon as possible. It's time to stop making excuses, take action. If other counties can do it, so can we. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and I know you usually email them in. It might be really good if you did this time as well, because the car alarm was sometimes competing with your voice, and I want to make sure that I heard them correctly.
And there are no other hands, Madam Chair.
Seeing no other hands, we will close community forum and bring it back before the council. Is there any other business or announcements this afternoon? Vice Chair Herrera.
I think there's a parade going on this weekend.
I heard of something like that.
Yes, the Daffodil Parade is Saturday. I think it starts in Tacoma, Puyallup, goes into several different things. So, and traditionally, rain or shine, people in this county show up, especially in Puyallup, and they will be there. So, yeah, Daffodil Parade this weekend.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements? Well, seeing no other business or announcements this afternoon, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.